What's going on, guys? Stefan, S&E's Garage. Behind us, we have our GSF. We're going to take a walk around it. We're going to show you what we ended up settling at with our final ride height, and we're going to go over a couple of things. Alright guys, so after a bunch of tweaking here and constantly raising and lowering the car to set the coilovers, we finally got to a ride height that works for us. We have absolutely no wheel rub, we have no issues, and the car sits beautifully. We raked it slightly, so I set the rear wheel gap about an 1/8 inch higher than the front, so it's got a slight rake to it, kind of like a muscle car, and that's kind of the look I was going for. And this is the final product. Look right down the side, it just looks flawless. Now, with the Figs Engineering rear camber arms that we put in this, we were actually able to dial the camber in the rear perfectly. So we have 1.5 degrees of camber on the driver and the passenger side rear, which, believe it or not, is less camber than this car had at the factory ride height. So we're gonna have less tire wear in the back. We're gonna have more tire on the ground for straight line acceleration. We're gonna have more grip off the line. And I was actually able to set these coilovers to where the car drives almost stock. It's a little bit firmer, but it's a super, super comfortable ride. So up under the hood of this beautiful engine bay, underneath our strut tower brace, we have our dampening and rebound adjustment here for these coilovers. So the way we have them set now, we are 9 clicks from the hardest in the front, and we are 10 clicks in the rear. Now that is a good mix of sporty, plus still definitely 100% daily drivable. I'm still playing with that a little bit. I might try to go a little bit softer, but the problem is if I start going too soft, I think I might have some rubbing issues, because where I was rubbing previously was right here. I actually had to bend this tab up on the fender slightly, and that went and pulled my fender liner up and out of the way, and now I have no rubbing issues because I really didn't want to go any higher than that. And if I had to modify one little thing, that was what we were going to do. So that's what we ended up with. But I'm super happy with how this car drives right now, and I'm even more happy with how it sits. So what we did in the back here is we made little slits right here in the fender, basically the trunk liner, and in there is how I get to the rear adjustment in order to set the rear dampening. But like I said, I think I have it set right now to where I want it. Now, one thing that I am going to do in the near future is we're going to start looking for a rear strut tower brace for this car. With this true coilover conversion, we're moving all of the load and the weight-bearing point of the car from the spring perch on the rear subframe to the upper shock towers. Now, the shock towers on these cars is very robust, it's reinforced, and it does look very strong, but admittedly, it was never designed to bear the weight of the car. So I am just going to get, like I said, the rear strut tower brace, tighten it up back there, just so if there is any body flex or anything like that, we eliminate as much of it as possible. But talking to the guys over at RR Racing and you know, picking a couple other people's brains, people have been running setups like this in these GSFs, the ISFs and the RCFs for years on road courses, and really putting these cars through their paces without any issues. So I'm relatively confident that we're going to be good, but I just want that little bit more stiffening back there, and I just want to give this thing the best chance to not have any issues. Now, the RR Racing coilovers that we installed on this car use dampers that are made by Silvers, which is actually, they're a really good suspension company. They're not really mainstream yet, but they've been around for years. And I like them so much that we actually went and we ordered a set here for this Mustang. So stay tuned. We are going to be putting a set of coilovers on this Mustang and really getting it dialed in. The Mustang's going to have camber plates up top, so we can tune a little bit of negative camber up front, kind of like we have here. And that way we can lower the car slightly more up front without it rubbing the fenders, which I think will be really nice, and we can really fine-tune this car, because right now this car has blown shocks, blown struts, and lowering springs, and that's the way I bought it. I didn't do that to it, but it drives like, oh god, it drives like garbage, and that's kind of why we haven't really driven it much. So now that we got it to pass inspection, that's our next step, is we're going to start working on the suspension on this car. Now I want to address something that really left a very, very bad taste in my mouth, and that is the experience that I had with these Tane lowering springs, the experience I had dealing with Tane, and the experience that I had dealing with the people that sold them to me, which is Fitment Industries. Now, I am not one to bash a company or multiple companies. That's not my style. But the way that everything was handled with the issue that I had with these springs is absolutely awful. And let me just summarize it. I'm stuck with a $340 paperweight here because even though these springs are defective, Tane nor Fitment Industries are accepting a return on them because they were already installed in the vehicle. And my argument to that is, how am I to know that they're going to be defective without installing them on the car? It makes absolutely zero sense. Now, Tane immediately started pointing the fingers at me on this. As you guys know, my viewers, I am an ASE certified advanced level technician, and I hold certifications. This is really messed up, but I am a master automobile technician. I am certified in all 8 areas of a modern automobile, one of those being steerings and suspensions. Now, they accused me of not unloading the bushings when I installed the springs. If you watch my video of installing these springs, I specifically mention, do not tighten any bushing to the final tightening spec until you have a load on the suspension, because yes, that will cause issues. When they tried blaming me for that, I told them, hey, I did that when I installed them. I didn't hear from them for a week, and then they get back to me and say, I really think you need to try that again. And the definition of insanity is trying the same thing multiple times and expecting a different result. So I'm going to put some before and after pictures up of the car really quick. Stock, and then with the Tane springs in the rear. And you'll see just how much the Tane springs dropped the rear of this car. Per their website, they are only supposed to drop the rear of the car 0.6 inches. And it was tucking the back tires. It looked like absolute garbage, and I couldn't even drive the car. And it took them almost 2 weeks to come to the conclusion that they weren't going to accept any returns. And the reason that they're not going to accept them is, like I said, I refused to do the bushing unloading for the second time, and because they were already installed on the car, I'm stuck with them. So if anybody wants a free set of Tane S-Tech lowering springs for a GSF that may or may not be defective, comment down below. You can come pick them up, you can have them. I don't even want to look at them. When it comes to the suspension of your Lexus GSF, RCF, ISF, trust the experts. Go talk to the guys at RR Racing. Let them set you up with their coilovers. These road and track coilovers tick all the boxes for me. They're relatively inexpensive at $1,800. I think that's a huge bargain. That's slightly cheaper than the CKS coilovers. And the CKS coilovers from Mod in Japan, they use the same shock bodies. They're silver shocks. So save a couple bucks. Go talk to the guys at RR Racing. But if you don't want those, go with a reputable company. Silver's, CKS, RR Racing, RSR makes a nice coilover set for these. Don't just do springs because, number one, you're stuck with whatever they lower. You're not going to be able to adjust it, and it might be an eighth of an inch or so off from side to side because there's no adjustability. With these coilovers, I was able to get all four corners to match perfectly. So the right front and the left front wheel are completely flat, and the right rear and the left rear match perfectly. My measurements are spot on. The car sits level, the car sits awesome. So with that being said, definitely stay tuned. In the next video or two, we're gonna set you guys up with the GoPro in this car. We're gonna go take it for a ride. We're gonna do a driving impression with these coilovers, let you guys know how they handle, how they maintain ride quality over bumps, things like that. We'll do some cornering. We'll have some fun with the car, and I just want to show you how dailyable and how streetable this car still is with these coilovers set at this ride height. Now, I still have plenty of room to go down if I wanted with these coils. I could drop this car down to the ground, but that's not what this Lexus is about. This Lexus is about a nice driving, comfortable car that's sporty. And we emphasize the sportiness a little bit with these coilovers because we did go with a stiffer spring rate than some of the other ones on the market. We have a 16K in the front and a 14K in the rear. So I'm not gonna lie to you, it's stiff, but with the stiffer springs, you can turn down the damping and the rebound of the coils and kind of let the shocks help absorb some of that, the road imperfections, and it actually gives a very nice ride. I'm super happy with it, and I can't wait to take you guys with us in the next video to go for a ride and show you what this is all about. So thank you for watching. Thank you guys for letting me vent to you a little bit about the issues that I had with Fitment Industries and Tane. I definitely would not buy anything from those guys. And again, I'm not somebody to bash a company, but to tell somebody that they're stuck with a defective product because they already installed it on their vehicle is asinine. Because how am I to know, or how are you to know if it's going to be defective until you install it? Makes no sense. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys that watch, you make videos like this possible. You enable me to be able to do these kind of things to these cars and buy these cars. If it wasn't for YouTube, this car wouldn't be in my garage right now. So please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about the issues that I had with those guys at Fitment Industries and Tane. Let me know if you think I'm in the right or if I'm in the wrong. If I'm being wrong, by all means, tell me. But the only option that I have now is to file a dispute with my credit card company. And I don't like doing that, but if it's what I have to do, it's what I have to do.